until everybody came in. Let me just check something here. There we go. Now today, we're doing these last 3 blocks on this row.
This new year, it's time to finally learn the sewing skills you've always wanted to learn. For just $1.50, you can get a full year of Craftsy Premium membership and
yeah, and you don't need it if you just look up all the free stuff on YouTube. All right. Hey, Kathy, how's it going, sweetheart? All right, where is it? Is and there it is. You know, this fabric right here, I don't know if you can see it. This fabric right here, this blue fabric was from pajamas I made for Briar when he was a toddler. I also made Arthur pajamas too. Hey, Frida, Kathy, Candy, Claire, Honeydew, Garnett. Hey, Creation. All right, I'm just going to start quilting here. Wow, the really mixed reviews on my rescuing the Parmesan cheese, eh? I never thought of wiping it down with vinegar and letting it dry before repackaging it, but that's okay. I just put it in the freezer. So people say, take it back. I can't take it back, folks. It's an hour-and-a-half drive. Do you know how much that costs in gas? And then there's no guarantee, right? Plus, I don't have the receipt. Okay, let's snip that little tail off there. I haven't got my overhead light on today. I hope you can see by the light of the window here. And now we're going to go back through those stitches and anchor the thread. See? Can you guys see okay? Let's see if I can get it just a little bit bigger there for you. Not always easy to get it in the center of the frame. So, hi Linda! Bob Brigg from Big Sky, Billings, Montana. Sue Hagen. Frida. Oh, here we go. Joan Leach. Well, you know what? I mean, people go out and they buy all kinds of new fabrics. I always go, when I start a new section, I always go back through the last stitch I did. And that way, if the thread breaks, when it's being washed or anything like that, the rest of the thread will hold up because it's anchored. You know, I know a lot of people who buy brand new fabrics. I've done it to make quilts, and they're certainly beautiful, but they don't have, like, before I turned the video on, I was mentally going over all the fabrics and saying to my nephew when I give it to him, this is from your brother's wedding quilt. You know, those are from Briar's pajamas. This is from your original quilt. This is from your other brother's wedding quilt. This is from the quilt that Arthur has that he won at the family reunion. You know what I mean? That's why it's called the Band of Brothers quilt, because I made sure that all the boys, my sister's boys and my boys, are in it because they were raised like brothers almost. You know, so that's why it's called the Band of Brothers quilt. No way. Fabricland is closing their doors? Oh, that's the only fabric store left. You should have wiped that Parmesan cheese with vinegar. Yeah, I heard that. I heard that. If you had been here a couple of minutes ago, I would have told you that that actually was the first thing that I got out of the comments. So if it ever happens again, I will. But I think the next time I buy one of those big Parmesan cheeses, I'm going to cut it up, wipe it with vinegar, let it dry, and then vacuum seal it into sections so that I'm not using the whole thing at once, right? But that's never, ever happened before. Not to me. PJs, blankets, whatever she had. That's right. Because the whole point of quilt making started with people using every little bit of scrap they could to make it into something else. You know what I mean? It became an art form, yes, but it was all about survival back then. So I'm doing it. I do it 3 blocks. I go boom, 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 and then I come back across, and 3 blocks are done. Hey, Lena. If anybody sees Renita Madrid come in, tell her the Cadillac is amazing. She'll know what I'm talking about. Hey, Seashell. How are you, darling? No, Gracie, I'm talking to the computer, not to anybody walking in the door, which is a rare occurrence in this house. I live so far away from family, and the family that lives close doesn't want anything to do with me, and that's okay. You know, they have their reasons, and that's fine with me. You know, but if they ever showed up in my door for a cup of tea, there's no way. Oh, I bet, honey. How was Nuka's time on the beach with one of the aunties the other day? Okay. You guys see her? Is my shoulder in the way? There we go. Hey, Susby. Hey, Sherry Leach. Claire Quinn. Well, I'm going to tell you, I just got out of bed at 1 o'clock. And people can call me lazy if they want, but insomnia and having to deal with pain medication does not make it easy to sleep or get out of bed once you do sleep. But I've been researching some vitamins for my hair, and I'm going to be going shopping this week, and I'm going to be getting myself some supplements because I just, you know, I need some more get up and go because it got up and went like 2 years ago. So, see, now we're going up here. Oops, you can't see. Hang on. Let's do that. There, you can see better. And I've been ironing and cutting the next quilt's fabric. And we will be starting to sew either this week or next week. I've got to figure out exactly. I think I'm going to need 120 blocks. 120 10-inch blocks is the way it's going to look. We'll see. Come on, you. Well, here I have lines drawn on, but these ones are easy because you go from corner to corner to corner to corner, right? So it has its own guide. And I've been at this for a while. So am I perfect? Absolutely not. Are my quilts perfect? Never. But I'll tell you something. After I do Alex and Becca's quilt, I have to start working on all the quilts I have that are yet unfinished. God help me if anybody else gets married. You got an itchy bottom, Gracie? I lose control when you're not next to me. I'm falling apart right in front of me. Oh. I don't know the words. I just, make them up as I go along, but the tune rocks my soul, That one and I'm Not Okay by I'm hearing music every day. Howie educates me, and Briar especially. Guaranteed, we'll be going shopping on Friday, Howard, Briar, and I, after Howard's doctor's appointment. And I guarantee on Sassy Saturday or Freaky Friday, whatever comes first, there'll be some new music for me to share with you. Well, not necessarily new music, but different than what we're used to. Okay, wait a second. Oh. Okay, and see, I go back through that stitch. And then... Hey, Rosie! How's it going? To fix my sewing machines, Claire? It was about $300 for the two of them. And I still have my cabinet white, my white sewing machine. It's called the White. And it's a cabinet machine, and I have to get that taken in and serviced as well. And then all my 4 sewing machines are up and running again. Okay. Now, folks, on Life with the Wolfies. I'm not doing a lot of cooking videos right now because I'm just not. Because we eat pretty much the same thing all the time. The only time I make a video is when I do something differently. But I bought, when Howie and I were out on my birthday, we bought a set of shelves for my pantry. I know these are really, really visible, but it is what it is. Anyway, I have a shelf in my pantry that's metal, and it is so rickety that it's dangerous. And I don't put a lot on it, but my microwave is sitting on the top. And when we were at Princess Auto, I saw a similar set of shelves that looked much, much sturdier in the box. And Howie got them for me, and he's going to put them together tonight. So I will do a video showing you my shelves that are there and the shelves that I'm replacing with, and then Howie's going to put them together on video. Okay. Oh, that's a really big stitch. Okay, and then we're going to go back over the other way with the next. And then I'm going to be turning the bars, and we'll see how close we are to the end. Okay. Ouch. That got me. Now, this is what I talk about when I start or end. Okay. I go back. It's hard on this end because I'm leaning the wrong way. We go back up through the last few stitches. You see, like that? And when you snip them, it's anchored, no knots. Alrighty. Okay. Wow. Oops. Days are getting longer. Slowly but surely. Also, I'm going to be setting up my plant stand. My plant starting in my old office because I haven't used it as a bedroom yet. Just Google sewing machine repair shops in my area and make sure your location's on your phone, and they will always fun to log in while I'm I missed that somehow. Now we're going to go back across like here and down. And then we're going to turn. Then we're going to turn. Ooh. Oh, I have a bunch of golden head sharps that are good for quilting, but it must be in a batch, a bad batch, because the holes are too small for me to get the thread through. I can't even get the wire of a needle threader through. So that was a waste of money. Okay, we start here and go up. Pull that through. Not all the way. I hope YouTube never goes away, because someday when I'm no longer here, my family will be able to look back and watch the videos of the things I did for them. You know what I mean? Hey, Kelly. Waiting on doctor call for 3 and it's past 3. Okay, Sherry, keep us posted. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I made smothered pork chops for supper last night. Tonight it's spaghetti. Can't wait to go shopping. I'm out of onions. I'm using onion flakes. I need celery. I'm out. Now, everybody knows that normally I would never be out of celery at this time of year. But guess what? We're planting celery again this year. I've got my 2 big garden beds. Does anybody remember me making the pickles where I added the green tomatoes? I got to tell you, if you're going to make green tomatoes into dill pickles, make sure they're smaller than a golf ball. Okay, just smaller than a golf ball. Anything bigger, chop it up and turn it into green tomato chow. What's going on there? There we go. Oh, pasties. pastries with meat and gravy in them. Cornish pasties. Does anybody remember where Cornish pasties come from? From the tin mines. They were made so that you could drop them down the shaft to the next guy down so he could have his lunch. They're definitely not supposed to be a flaky pastry, although it's nicer when they are, because we're not tossing them down mine shafts to other miners. You know what I mean? Oh, I just stuck my finger. Go back through that last stitch because we're coming to a corner. Okay, back through that one again. And now we're going to do this one and this one. No, it's in England. Hey, Journey. Thank you, Linda. YouTube doesn't give a crap anymore as long as it gets its money. Ouch. Sorry, folks, I'm not very talkative. Sugar pie is basically butter tarts without anything in it. Sugar pie is basically sugar, eggs, sugar, eggs, and butter. It's the same. It's the base ingredient for a pecan pie without the pecans, pretty much. I know because I'm a Canadian and we invented butter tarts. And butter tarts would be called in the United States, you'd probably call them sugar tarts. But we put raisins in ours and pecans and walnuts, and Howie doesn't like raisins. I do. So maybe one day soon I'll make some butter tarts on a video on Life with the Wolfies. Sugar, milk, eggs, flour. Well, ours is sugar, butter, and eggs. You beat that all together and you put that in a pie. And that is a butter tart, a sugar pie. I've still got rutabagas canned from years ago. Oh. All right. Last line, and then this row is done, and we have to turn it. How long have I been on here? Not that long. Okay. Let's go back to asking if you guys were bored. Put it on Facebook, Claire. Awesome. Great grandma born in England made butter tarts. I have her handwritten recipe in the cover of 5 Roses 1908 cookbook. There you go. They're a big they're a big treat here in Canada because a lot of us, you know, come from the UK. Our families come from the UK. As a matter of fact, my nephew in Australia once emailed me and asked for my butter tart recipe. And I was happy to tell him it was Aunt Josie's butter tart recipe, but I would gladly pass it on. He's a big deal. They don't do turkeys in Australia, I guess. They don't raise them, so they have one imported in every year so that Aaron can cook it. Well, they used to have one imported every year. I don't know if they do it now, but I watched a video once of them opening presents, and in Australia, they're at the height of summer at Christmas because they're down under, right? And it was funny watching them all getting excited in their shorts and stuff and getting big cannon water pistols and stuff. When we were in, I think it was Costco. I don't know where it was, but Howie and I, before Christmas, I saw a Nerf gun that was like a Gatling gun. You could crank it. It was like a machine gun you crank. Great big thing. I almost bought that for Arthur and Briar. I almost bought that, but they don't get together enough. Because sometimes adults got to have toys too. And they don't have to be adult toys. They can be kids' toys. Right? Well, thank you, Joe Parkhurst. This is it's a remaking. My nephew Mikey's quilt was in his original, very first quilt I ever made him was in tatters. So he gave it, I asked for it back, and he said only if I promised to make sure he got it back when it was done. And I said, of course. So this quilt is made up, for those of you who are new, this was in the original quilt. This over here was in the original, you can't see that, was in the original quilt that I redid. And there's quite a few in here that are made from the original quilt that I got back from Mikey. And then, of course, I added fabric from my sons and his brothers. So I call it the Band of Brothers quilt. Okay, make sure we get this right and not sewn through here. Joe's wife, your name is Linda. Okay, Joe's wife, Linda. We can get turkey at Christmas, but they don't look like the turkeys I see going in ovens in the USA. Well, when Aaron first moved to Australia after he got married, they imported them for him. Nice big turkeys, you know? But, okay, here we go. Whoops. Okay, now. Let's do this And then this. And then I am going to move some stuff out of the way here. And I'm going to turn it, okay? Oh, I got to take my laptop off of here too. Alrighty. And this. Make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. Oh. Oh. All right. So I flip these little things down and then I roll it and then I flip these back and I tighten them back up. Okay, and that needs to come down a little more. There we go. And we are all ready to continue. Okay. I love color. Color is one of my, well, since we're here, I'll start at this end. Turn you back one. There we go. Everything's nice and taut. These are from Mikey's wedding quilt. These star block, these little blocks with the stars. Briar shirt. My watermelon fabric. This is from Briar's pajamas when he was a toddler that I made him. All righty. Now. There we go. Well, I know he thinks so. I know I talked to his younger brother because I thought, well, I feel bad because, where'd my needle go? I feel bad because I should be offering to do this with the other two nephews. So I phoned Andrew and I said to him, I said, I told him what I was doing, that I was making a quilt for Mikey out of his old tattered quilt. And he said, all of my quilts, Aunt Bev, the one you made me and the one you made for my wedding, he said, they're all in pristine condition. I said, Andrew, I made that for you when you were a teenager. And he goes, yeah. He said, but then he said, Mikey must have just wrecked it. And I said, no, he loved it, Andrew. And he said, Aunt Bev, I love your quilts too. He said, I love your quilts too. That's why they get washed on delicate and hung to dry. He said, I have Aaron's original quilt that you made him that he couldn't take with him to Australia because of the weight of luggage. That's it. Everybody's different, right? And everybody cherishes differently. Hang on, here we go. There we go. Whoops, back down a little bit. There, should be about right. Right? Everybody loves differently. You know? When Mikey loves, he smothers it. He loves a quilt, he'll use it. And that's, either way, they both, it's evidence that my boys love their quilts. Aaron, the eldest, and his quilt was not the best quilt ever, but I mailed that out to Australia. And, he's an educator, but he's also the head of something at a school. I don't know how it works down there. But he goes on trips and conferences, and they were talking about, I don't know if it was about history or communication or whatever, but apparently he took the wedding quilt I made him and did a talk on it, which is, I find really amazing, because, you know, I don't know what the talk was about, but apparently he mentioned, you know, all the facts that I got fabric from family, I got fabric that represented Canada, all of those things that went into that quilt. And so those, I tell you guys, my boys, right? Hi, Dave. I'm sorry, honey. I do put it up an hour. Oh, shoot. I do put it up, try and get the video up an hour ahead and schedule it. But the problem is I've been having problems with my phone if I try and schedule it any earlier for a live stream. Oh. Hey, Freaky Geek. Freaky Geek, help me get everyone to give Bev a thumbs up. Seems I ask and don't receive. Everybody give me a thumbs up. If you're enjoying this video, please, I'm going to do what all the other folks do. Smash that like button. And if you haven't subscribed or you're not getting notifications, go back, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and click the little gray bell to help with notifications. YouTube is famous for dropping people off subscriber lists. Trust me, I know. I know this to be true. I can't wait to get started on, I am started on Alex and Becca's. Once I find out how much fabric it's going to take to make a block, that's how much fabric I'm going to cut. But it really isn't that big of a deal, because if I cut too many strips, I'll just save them for another quilt. You know what I mean? There we go. I usually do it as soon as I come in, but this time I forgot because of work. But I smashed the like button now. You're welcome. I don't like to tell people what to do on my channel. Like, you know, I don't like to ask for anything. I just like people to be here because they want to be here. But YouTube can sometimes make that difficult for folks. Okay. Oh my goodness. What time is it, folks? Between the computer and the phone, I don't see a clock. Eastern Daylight Time. Sometimes the reminder I send out for myself. Well, that's good. 3:23, 3:26. Okay, so I got a few more minutes before I got to go and finish my dishes and put the sauce in the meat. Oh my God, I am planting the garden this year. I tell you, I'm already excited. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but with 2 raised beds, I'm going to be really, really happy. 2 big raised beds that are like that high. So they're about knee high, which is higher than what I have now. And they're metal, so I'm just going to split pool noodles down one side and just slip them over the edges of the metal so that if I fall or I stumble and I need to grab on something, I'm not going to hurt my hand on the edge. Because they may be dull edges, but when you fall or you hit something, even a dull edge of metal will cut if you give it enough impact, right? So celery, tomatoes, pickle, and cucumbers and beans. That's it so far this year. Actually, I'm going to be starting them this week because I have to, like everyone says, oh, you're starting them too soon. But the thing is once I start them, things like tomato plants get planted in like dog food cans and stuff, which I have to start washing and, well, I mean, cutting the tops off them and for tomato cans. And I'll be starting them this week. And what happens is once the tomatoes get to a certain size, I plant them in a tomato can, in a dog food can with a hole in the bottom. And then when they get bigger, I pull them out of the can, I cut the dirt off the bottom, I stuff them down in the can till only this much is showing off the top, and then I fill it up with dirt again. I just keep replanting the tomatoes until they're like nursery stock. You know what I mean? That one's going to be hard to pull because it's hard to push. Just look in chat. There should be an emoji for thumbs up. Alrighty. And then back through that last stitch. Well, the thing is people have a tendency to put the lights too high. The lights have to be 6 to 10 inches above the foliage. Okay. And then because then they get too tall, everyone says, oh, my tomatoes are leggy. Replant them. Plant half the stem back under the soil, and they will grow more roots. And then your stalk will get thicker and thicker with each transplant. I wouldn't do it more than once every week or two as they're growing because it does stress them. Yes, they are. That's one of the reasons that, trust me, folks, all of my years and years of gardening, there's only three things I know how to grow well, weather permitting. And that's tomatoes, celery, and beans. Why? Because I fought to learn how to grow them properly. I'm so excited that the only beds that aren't going to be raised up anymore will be my bean beds because they get raised up too far. I won't be able to pick them, right? Because I plant pole beans. Oh, shoot. Don't do that. So, all the other beds that the new big beds are replacing, they're going to be torn down. There's 6 of them. And anything worth saving, the top collar part of the garden beds will be going on other beds to raise those ones up. So I'm really excited because it's going to make life a lot easier in the garden for me this year. Well, no, it's not going to make it easier. It's going to make it, because every year it gets more difficult. So we have to find better ways for me to garden without, killing myself. I'll be talking to the doctor in the spring about new knees, and we'll see what the specialist has to say. But I hate going to specialists. I was supposed to phone the dentist today and say, why the hell have you not given me an estimate for removing my teeth? If you're not going to give me an estimate, or if you can't do it all in one sitting, then I will look for a dentist who will. I'm getting tired of being jacked around. Oh, come on, you. Yeah, 2025 was a crappy year for gardens. And I ain't saying anything about chemtrails or anything else or weather modification, but I know it wasn't natural. Period, full stop. Well, I'll be doing them live, my plants and tomatoes and stuff. I'll be starting them, and I'm doing them in my old office this year because A, I haven't turned it into my bedroom yet. And B, my dining room is being taken up by my sewing. I used to have my house organized, you know, dining room, this, that, so people could come in and sit down, have dinner, and watch TV and watch movies and all that stuff. But guess what? We don't get a lot of company. We are out of the way for a lot of people. So I'm using my house the way it. Howie and I are using our space to the best of our needs. Howie has a little living room downstairs so that if I'm doing an early live stream and I need quiet, he goes down and watch TV downstairs. He has his bedroom is downstairs. And for those of you that don't know us, Howie lives in the motorhome in the driveway in the summertime for air conditioning. In the winter, he sleeps downstairs in his own bedroom. Why? Why? You answer why Howie and I sleep in separate bedrooms, because the list is myriad. He snores. I'm an insomniac. I am a chronic pain sufferer who tosses and turns and gets up and down all night. Sleeping in, first we slept in the same bed, then we got a bigger bed, then we got 2 beds, and now we got 2 rooms. Why? Because there comes a point in your life as a married couple that making sure your partner gets a good night's sleep is more important than having them in the same room with you. Okay? At this point, if we were to sleep in the same room, it would be kind of selfish, wouldn't it? But, I mean, it doesn't mean we don't, connect. It just means that, when we go to the races or we travel anywhere, we share beds. Why? Because we don't have separate beds because we don't like each other. We have separate beds because we love one another. Make sense? You think you're on Earth, but not sure. Kathy, learn some jokes for the garden this summer. It won't be freaky. Are you in Southwest Ohio? Sue, actually heard a lot of people from all over say that. I live in Canada. I live in Western Quebec. North of Wakefield, Quebec. And I think when I get up here, that's going to be the last for today because I have to stir dinner, finish my dishes, and phone the dentist before they close. That's why I asked what time it was. I love sitting here talking to you. I'm going to play music for my plants this year. I'm going to take music out into the garden. So if I do live streams, or if I'm out in the garden filming, you guys will probably get me. You'll probably get musical overtures and stuff because I want to play music to my plants this year. All right. Yeah, well, that's why we sleep in separate bedrooms. So my office that I've been used up until last year is just a catch-all room right now. And tomorrow night, I'm going to get Howie to bring in the table. And I'm going to start setting up the room. This weekend, I'm going out. I got to buy seed starting soil. The only seed starting soil I could see in Canadian Tire was Miracle Grow. And I won't use that toxic waste. I use organic seed starting soil. I get it from the Botanics up on St. Joseph in Chelsea. I'm going to try that, Jan. I'm going to try and do some copper wire. I think it's 10 or 12 gauge. And I'm going to see. I'm going to see what happens. Now, I could do it one of two ways. I could put one in every bed. Or I could run copper through the beds, which I might do. But that's a lot of work. So I'm going to try it on one or two beds this year and see. I'm not going to go through all the work if it doesn't work. But for instance, I will have more than one bed of beans. So I'll try it in one bed of beans and see what happens. I'll probably have more than one bed of tomatoes, unless I use one of my great big beds for tomatoes and celery. But we'll see. The big beds are probably one of them is probably going to be an entire bed of celery. Because I'm not going without next year. Like I just used the last of it this week. And the last of my peppers. So my garden did not do well. This is the first year I've run out of celery. And I had, if you remember, I had to buy beans from the farmer's market. I had to buy pickling cucumbers from the farmer's market. And that was to do with a gopher, which my husband gave me a 22 Pew Pew with a scope for Christmas. You didn't see that, but it's going to be, that groundhog comes back. I'm going to have the alarm on that does the silent alarm, which seemed to work better than anything else. And then I'll have my Pew Pew handy. Yes, Wakefield is, Hull is on the absolute western edge of Quebec. Wakefield is north of Hull. And we are north of Wakefield. What might turn into Cabbage Patch dolls? Well, that's what I heard, okay? It's, there's lots of videos on it. You put a stick in the ground of your box, of your flower garden. You put a stick in. But it's got copper going down into the ground. And then you wrap the stick with the copper all the way up. And you want the copper coil on the top of the stick to go 5 feet above the ground. 5 to 6 feet above the ground, because there's electricity in the air. And electricity apparently helps things grow. So we're going to try a couple of experiments this year. I might even grow cabbage again this year. We'll see. We will see. All right, folks, I'm going to leave this right here like this. And the next time we'll be going zip, zip. Okay, zip, 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 zip. Yeah, you put the post in the ground. You put wire and you attach it. I think there's a grounding thing you got to do too, like a piece of aluminum wire. And I'm going to do more research on it. And then you wrap copper wire around the post all the way up. And then when you get to the top, you tack it. And then you make a coil that continues up into the air. You want it to be 5 to 6 feet above the surface of the dirt, because that's where the electricity is in the air. And apparently It boosts. It boosts growing. There's also the fact, music. There's also the fact, have you guys seen the way really big cell towers are killing the trees around them? Nuts, eh? This is Mrs. Volpe from our half-acre homestead saying, I got to go. I got to stir dinner, finish my dishes. I got to phone the dentist's office. All right? Take care. God bless. I love you guys. Never forget that.